We're ready for our last subject of the day, today being Thursday, April 2nd. We're ready for history. So for history today, you need to complete quiz 9. Looks like this. It is front and back, okay? So make sure you complete that. You can pause the video and do it now, or you can listen to the lesson on Booker T. Washington and then complete it. Doesn't matter to me. I just need a picture of the front and the back sent to me today. This is a quiz grade, so just go ahead and make sure that's taken care of today. You had a review on yesterday's video for this quiz, so if you need to go back and look at that and study a few minutes, that's fine. Just be sure this is sent to me today. All right? After that, we're going to do a map review of our western region of the United States. And then we're going to be in our history book, pages 320 to 323. There's a short section of questions on page 323 after we finish our study of the life of Booker T. Washington. Okay? So once your quiz, whatever you want to do about that, let's go ahead and go to our map review. That magnet, I have a magnet in these, and it is really strong, which I'm glad, but wow. Sometimes it's kind of hard to move it around, so I'll move it a little bit closer to you. So let's go with, let me make sure I have my notes here so I can remember everything. Washington. Yes, Washington, apples, correct. Oregon became a state on Valentine's Day. Correct. Go down. California, Death Valley, very hot, 115 degrees there, super hot. Let's go to Idaho, potatoes. You can actually buy bags of Idaho potatoes. Lots of potatoes grown there. Okay. Nevada, down, is the largest gold producing, right? Nevada, gold. Montana, go up here. Yep, Miles City is the cowboy capital there. Cowboy capital. And go down to Wyoming. Remember the Y, Yellowstone National Park there. Then over to Utah. Mountains near Salt Lake City get, Cam, do you remember how many inches of snow? 500 inches of snow. That's right. Colorado, the largest rodeo. Let's see. Alaska. Let me see. Lucy. Hey, Lucy. Do you remember what's special about Alaska? Its size. That's right. Alaska is big enough to fit the state of Rhode Island in it 425 times. That's a large piece of land. And then Harrison. Hey, that was cool to pick you for Hawaii. Harrison. Harrison, do you remember what's special about Hawaii? It's just out there on its own. It has its own time zone. It is doing its own little thing out there. Not connected to anyone. It is out there, just a beautiful piece of land, and it has its own time zone. That's right. So that is kind of review of the western region. Be sure you're looking over these and trying to remember, associate how you can remember them. They will be on quizzes and tests. So just please be sure that you're keeping up with those. Okay? All right, so now let's move to page 320. Just reviewing just for a few minutes. Page 318, you had a new opportunity there, the section. A group of men in Tuskegee, Alabama wrote to the Hampton Institute and said, we would like to start a school similar to yours. And they wanted to know if there was anyone that they knew of that could take charge of it and start it. Oh, yes, we have an answer for you, and that was Booker T. Washington. They asked Booker T. Washington if he would like to go do this, and of course he said yes. He was only 24 years old. What an opportunity, to be in that role, overseeing the beginnings of this school. So when he arrived at Tuskegee, he was ready for a nice building, and everything was going to be lovely. And let me see, Jamel. Hey, Jamel. Jamel, was all that there? No. It says There was no school building, no books or supplies, and not even a chalkboard. You're right, Jamil. Nothing there. Wow. This is a shock, right? So he never thought about giving up. Remember Booker T. Washington, hardworking, diligently seeking what he needed to do, never thought about giving up. He found an old building and then he began to teach. Well, later he was able to buy a farm and was able to convert that farm into some classrooms. But going back to that first schoolhouse for just a second, looking on page 319, what had to happen while he was teaching? Yeah, when it would rain, there would be a leak in the roof. And it says the students took turns holding an umbrella. Could you imagine us at school and I've got my big red and white umbrella and you guys had to take turns holding the umbrella over me so I could teach, and it was raining and you're trying to get under there with me? That would be something, wouldn't it? But it didn't stop Booker T. Washington. It didn't slow him down or discourage him one bit. He just kept right on going. All right. So page 319, they worked. They're clearing the land. You know, at first let me go back to the stop and think. Do you remember the quotes from Thomas Edison? Quote from Thomas Edison. It says, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. His second one, opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. So what did Booker T. Washington and Thomas Edison share? Yes, that commonality. They had that mindset of work. I'm not scared to go and buy this farm and have to do all this work to convert it over. Booker T. Washington, when he came initially, he could have said, y'all didn't tell me you didn't have a building. I'm gonna head back. He didn't. They both share that hard work ethic. Just do it. Just jump in and do it. Okay? So page 320. During the first Christmas at the Tuskegee Institute, Mr. Washington taught the students the real meaning of Christmas. For some of them, this is the first time they had ever heard that Jesus was sent to earth to be the Savior of the world. So as time goes by, page 320 is where we're starting today. More and more students came to Tuskegee. They needed bigger and better buildings. So what did they need to make the buildings? They needed bricks. So learning to make bricks was hard work. 3 times in trying to learn to make them and fire them and make them work, they failed 3 times. But did they quit? Did Booker T. Washington say, oh, let's just give up, I'm done with this? No, they carried on. They went ahead, they worked, and afterwards they built their own buildings, and they also sold the bricks to the townspeople for money. Okay? So that was 2 ways that they benefited there. Page 321, we're just going to kind of scan over and discuss some things together. If you look at the top picture, that is the Tuskegee Institute in 1907. There's a picture of it there. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of days, a lot of nights spent working. By 1900, the Tuskegee Institute had over 1,000 students and 86 teachers. 19 years had passed. Mr. Washington told his teachers that he wanted each student to be proud of your work. Mr. Washington said, make your students love work instead of trying to run away from it. So now news starts spreading of this Tuskegee Institute. Mr. Washington was asked to travel to many cities and to make speeches. It said he was invited to a dinner at the White House with President Theodore Roosevelt. He was also asked to have tea with Queen Victoria of England. You know, sometimes when we have to speak in front of people, it makes us nervous. And Booker T. Washington was a very successful man. And I mean, he taught classes and spoke. But sometimes he said it made him nervous to have to speak to people. But he said that he always asked God to bless what he was going to say before he said it. And finally, on page 322, you have a picture there of Booker T. Washington. And he's speaking to these men that are there. And look at their faces. I mean, they're just smiling. They're just taking in every word that he has to say, all the knowledge that he's passing on to them. They're just gleaning from it. They're just taking it in. Mr. Washington decided to write an autobiography of his life. An autobiography is a true story of a person's life written by that person himself. His book is called Up from Slavery. Today, the Tuskegee Institute has over 3,000 students and is called the Tuskegee University. Some of the old buildings are still there to remind people of the great founder, Booker T. Washington. Over and over again, Mr. Washington told anyone who would listen, and his quotes there, the middle of page 322, the happiest people are those who do the most for others. The most miserable are those that do the least. So the happiest people are those who do the most for others. Jesus, others, then you, right? Just proven true right there. The most miserable are those that do the least. And Booker T. Washington kept working at what made him happiest. So we have studied this great man that shows you that hard work, perseverance, diligence pays off. You know, at times we get tired, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that, oh my goodness, I know, I get it, I really do. But we have to follow this example, a true leader. Keep working, it's going to pay off. Hard work, you're studying, it will pay off. I promise you, you continue to work hard each day, you continue to get your work finished, you continue to do your studying, and payday's coming. And you know when payday's going to be? The end of this year. Yeah, first of all, when you go into 4th grade, but when you step into 4th grade next year, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, I worked on this last year. Oh yeah, I remember, we did this last year. That's when it pays off, right? So just keep working. If you try and you don't succeed, try again. I'm going to quote Lucy. You know, Lucy always tells us, do your best, and don't worry about the rest. Do your best. The Bible tells us that whatever we do it with all of our might. We do it to glorify God. So what a wonderful study here of Booker T. Washington and how he came from his upbringings and how he didn't have a lot. But he, remember he loved the molasses. Sunday was a great day. He could have that treat once a week. And, he would tilt his plate to make it look like he had more. I mean, he didn't have a lot growing up, but that didn't stop him. On page 323, there's a picture there of the Tuskegee University today. Wow, a lot of growth, a lot of development there, a lot of people carrying on the hard work and the lessons that they learned from their leader there, Booker T. Washington. Your job today is to answer the comprehension check on page 323. Name 2 things Mr. Washington did to help the people in Malden. Which town in Alabama wanted Booker T. Washington to take charge of a school? Why did Mr. Washington teach his students to grow their own crops, make their own bricks, and build their own buildings? According to Booker T. Washington, who are the happiest people? Okay, so you'll answer, and I'm sorry, there's also there's a monument piece there with a plaque in honor of Booker T. Washington. Okay, so if you could finish that up, you have 4 comprehension check questions there, and that we'll start there tomorrow. Read those, go over those, finish this section up, and we'll start a short lesson on Theodore Roosevelt. So don't forget today, complete your quiz 9, have a picture of the front and back sent to me for grading. We did our map review, and you're doing the questions on page 323. Okay? So guys, that's the end of our day. Tomorrow is Friday. We will have finished 2 weeks of our online teaching and learning. How exciting, right? It's going by fast. And again, I'm going to tell you every day, I miss you and I love you. And I just pray that we can go back to school soon and be back in our classrooms. And boy, we're going to have a good time when we can get back. But just keep working. Keep trying. If you need me, just let me know, okay? So finish up your work. Put you a sticker on your day. And have a great day. Oh, and get you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at some point today. Okay? So, guys, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow, which is Friday.